I am A C Lakshmana. I retired from the Indian Forest Service in the year 1996 and I have continued my profession as an hobby even today. And I am striving my best to conserve the forests on one side and develop forests in the farm forestry sector on the other side. Because all these things I have learned because the forest cannot be expanded by only foresters alone, because it has got its demarcation lines. It can't go beyond 21% by the efforts of the forest department. So another 60% area which is under cultivation, if the farmers were to take up this one, then we will be in a position to cover a bigger area and see the national average of 33% of forest area in India. This is necessary because of the threatening environmental pollution that is facing the country today. Because recently the World Bank report studies have revealed that if India can avoid the environmental losses, the GDP can go up by further 4.5%. So this is the damage that we are doing to ourselves in the name of development. So before I come back to my urge, it is better that I should give an introduction about my own family, because I come from a village which is 20 kilometers away from here. It's called Srinivas Agrara near Srirangpatna. My ancestors, originally they were all, both from the father side and from the mother side, they are all from the Vijayanagar side. They all came back after losing the battle in 1656. They lost the battle, and when the invading army started looting Vijayanagar, they escaped and they came back. And probably that feeling is there still with me, that we should revive the old glory of Vijayanagar, which at that time were doing lot of exports, and we were rich, we were fabulous, we were technologically superior in every respect to the rest of the world. There was a time when the Romans were feeling that their foreign exchange is being drained because they were purchasing it from the Vijayanagar kingdom. So it is my aspiration, probably that is there in my mind, and those genetic this thing probably passed through my parents and grandparents. My uncle was in jail when we were young as a freedom fighter. My grandfather was imprisoned by the Britishers, and there was probably an urge in them for fighting for freedom. So they won the freedom, and now there is an urge in me that no, political freedom itself is not sufficient. We have to do the economical freedom is the next phase for which we have to fight today. So that is the basis of my life itself, I feel. So I am trying to find how we can help the farmers who constitute 60% of the population in Karnataka, how we can enrich them by adopting different Silvi horticultural practices in their farmlands, so that we can revive both the economical conditions of the people and also the environmental conditions of the state. So coming to my own achievements, of course, I am known to be a good administrator with good reputation. That is the reason that wherever I go today also, whether it is the bureaucrats or the politicians or the farmers, they get attached to me and our old relationship is still continue to be very sweet even today. Now, coming to the three important points on which I want to discuss. Now, the GDP growth is one thing, and then the environmental degradation is other thing. Now, you've got recently, out of about 170 countries in the world, India is placed 167th in the uh, green graph of the world. So, we feel bad that only 3 countries are below us, and we have we have come down so level in the green index of the international scale. So, this is the area we have to attend to. So, now for example, the Bangalore, take for example only one this thing. After Cape Town becoming affected by drinking water, Cape Town in South America, where army has to come to distribute the drinking water to the people, Bangalore is also in the top 11 countries in the world where water is going to become scarce in the near future. So, what are the plans, that precautions that we will have to take? Number one, what are the immediate actions that we will have to take? Number two is the second factor. The other factor is, because why I give importance for Bangalore means, if Bangalore survives, the whole Karnataka survives. If Bangalore sinks, all of us are going to sink. That is how Bangalore becomes priority for me. The second priority for me is that there is lot of problem with farmers, because economically they are not viable nowadays. Lot of people are leaving their lands and they are moving away to the towns and cities. So, in order to avoid this migration, number one, and then the birth of slums in the townships, we should make the farmers rich in their own background. So, it is in this context I did about some experiments for about 7-8 years and developed a concept called Vanatotakarike, where both the forest and the horticultural components are included, and that success is given to the farmers of Periyapatna and Hunsur. Why I have selected Hunsur and Periyapatna? The reason is, they are the people who are in immediately need of it, because by 2020 the international community has decided to put an end for tobacco cultivation in the world. So, these people will be suddenly thrown out of gear if tobacco is stopped in 2020. So, I started from last 10 years, I am trying to nourish them, give them these ideas, and then give them how they can live an independent and a self-contained sustainable development. That is the basis on which I am working with these people. I personally feel this will help not only in Vanatotakarike, this will help in the farmers who are growing tobacco all over the world. There are over 100 and odd countries are growing tobacco in the world, and all the farmers are suddenly finding it very difficult to find an alternative profitable crop. So, my experiments in the first 8 years was on Vanatotakarike, which can be used as an alternative for tobacco farmers. And now in the last 10 years, I am doing my extension work with the farmers. The concept has crystallized very well. Initially, the farmers will not take the advice of others, they are very cautious. Initially, they started with 100 to 500 my suggestions, trees, and fruit trees or forest trees, and today they are growing acres and acres. Similarly, to strengthen the farmers, I was able to get one of the old legacies was that sandal trees, wherever it is grown, is the property of the government. So, I said it is not a fair order in a democracy. If the tree is grown by him or it is in his complex, I should say it should belong to him. Thanks to Mr. S.T. Devagowda was the chief minister those days. He tried to get the rule amended, but somehow or the other, in the cabinet, he could succeed. So, later stages, I was able to convince the next Chief Minister, Mr. S.M. Krishna, and he was able to amend that rule. With the result, today farmers are getting all the profits for themselves. Whatever sand is grown, they extract it and give it to the department or for other agencies, and they are getting, today's market rate is per ton 1 crore 20 lakhs of rupees. That means every kg of sandal that a farmer gives to the depot, he gets 12,000 rupees as on today, but I personally feel that it is going to be higher, because lot of the French companies like the who produce Chanel 9, 7 and other things, they are depending on the Indian sandalwood for their fragrance. Though India was the first to put restrictions on smoking in public areas, the progress in other fields is slightly slow. Goa was the first state which prohibited smoking in public. So, we were the pioneers in that, and later it spread all over the globe. So, smoking in public is prohibited all over the globe today. But many countries have already stopped growing tobacco. Canada, Sri Lanka and many other countries are also in the anvil to prohibit, because about 9 million people are succumbing to the tobacco related diseases annually. So, 9 million death means there are 9 million people seriously affected, number one. There are 9 million people which are in their preliminary stages of diseases. That means almost 6 million people. 6 million plus 6 plus, at least at any one time 18 million people are having diseases connected with tobacco, smoking or consumption. So, it is in this context that the World Globe, United Nations has decided to put an end to tobacco by 2020, and a lot of countries are doing experiment, and fortunately Karnataka is the first place where they have found a suitable alternative profitable crop. This system is called Silvi Horticulture or Vana Totagarike. So, and this particular concept has picked up in only two regions, Hunsur and Karnataka. This was done by the efforts of one myself and my team. My team included the whole forest department, then the other departments, then the public, and lot of rich people gave funds, though those days CSR was not laid out, but they helped for this cause. And I have also started my own foundation, Forest, Environment and Yoga Foundation, and I am also supplementing these things to the farmers today. So, the media played a major role in spreading this message. The success story was highlighted by few, especially journalist friends, I should mention their name. One was Shivananda Kadave. He was the first one who brought out a beautiful publication in a magazine in 2003 itself. Then later, Umesh Bhatt, he came out with a beautiful article which spread the message throughout Karnataka. Then, Hamshi is the third person who wrote a book on this particular issue itself. So, lot of the media friends are supporting. The net result is that the message has gone all over Karnataka, and lot of farmers, over nearly 30,000 farmers are interested in this Silvi horticulture today. So, it is in this context that apart from the CSR assistance that we are getting from this one, and apart from my own foundation, the government the intervention is necessary, because government is the most powerful agency that can spread this message faster, because 2020 is not far off. So, under this context, I appeal to all the people that please see that CSR is utilized for some such thing, and it is not restricted to just the farmers of Hunsur and Periyapatna. It is being spread throughout the country, and the net result is that it will become green, number one, and a lot of cottage industries will come up, number two, and big industries will grow, our export potential will increase. That is the reason that I am insisting. For example, we were lucky enough to come across a flagship Melia dubia in the process. Melia dubia is a very fast growing plant that was found in the forest, but not much was known about it. Somehow or the other, a lot of us took interest in this, and I spearheaded the cause of Melia dubia by making the Indian Plywood Research Institute to do a lot of research on that. They said that this is very good for plywood, and then the Hunsur plywood came there, they manufactured, they supplied it, and today it is known to be top 10 in the world, with where the productivity is high, the profitability is high, and now we are in the second stage of value addition to these things. For any species to pick up, every part of the tree or the product should be utilized. So, for Melia dubia, though it is a top 10 export quality material, we have to find alternative uses also for it. So, now we have found it for as a timber, and thanks to Mr. Venkatesh and then Manjunath, they did a lot of work, and then they were able to use it for handicrafts. See, in Channapatna, that hale is becoming less and less and becoming extinct. So they found the craftsmen of Ramanagar and Channapatna, they were in need of a raw material, and this particular species has filled up that vacuum now, and this species is much more attractive, much more colorful, and it is likely to bring in more profits to craftsmen. So this is going to generate employment for those people also. So in addition to that, the leaves can be used as fodder for both goats and sheep. So a lot of people have started cultivating and giving it on lease to the shepherds also. Similarly, sandal is one of the costliest things in the world, I did mention earlier. So now we have removed all the draconian laws, but there are many more things to be done for further development of sandal also. Some more modification, supplementing and assistance from the government is necessary. We are at it now. The government takes interest. We can make our farmers one of the richest in the world. We are on that route now. Bangalore is treated as one of the water scarcity areas in the world. Among the 11 cities that they have quoted, Bangalore is one among them. Though we have got a standing example of Cape Town slowly becoming dry, and people have to move out of Cape Town, and army has come to distribute water to the people. So before that, we have to think in terms of protecting the interest of the Bangalore, because the Bangalore interest of Bangalore lies the interest of whole Karnataka, because major portion of the revenue from the state comes from Bangalore. So in the interest of the state, we have to protect Bangalore and the Bangaloreans. So what we have to do is how to conserve water, the lakes, the streams, the rivers, and then the dams, and then the Western Ghats, then the catchment areas. So for this, the government has no option but to give priority for this. See, for example, now all the catchment areas, so recently when last time it started drying up, every day the water level started going down very seriously, because somehow or the other they did, good number of people did not report. What was the reason for sudden reduction as the width of the water spread reduced was that it was summer, the evaporation started increasing. Actually, the scientists have reported almost 95 millimeters of water is going to be evaporated per month. So this is a huge quantity when you compare, take all the lakes in Karnataka into consideration, the dams and the lakes. 95 millimeters is the loss of water per month. So we have no option but to work out on this and reduce it. It is also reported that when you have got trees, both evaporation and transpiration both put together only 5 millimeters is the loss per month. So there is a saving of almost 90 millimeters of water per month when you introduce vegetation to those areas. So the government has to think in terms of seeing that how best they should act. So in the interest of saving water, see the corporation should join hands with the government. The government should take the support of the corporations to see under CSSR also, they will supplement the government funds with CSR funds. So it's only then we will be in a position to tackle this problem, and Bangalore will continue to grow, Bangalore will continue to prosper, and Karnataka will continue to prosper. This is a must for all of us today. Of course, in the interest of the prosperity of the state, we have no option but to work as a team. So for example, what we are doing in Hunsur and Periyapatna, the message has spread and other people are trying to do it. See, forest cannot expand beyond that 21% of the boundaries. So if you take the farmers into confidence and if we give them a viable program for them, they will be able to do a better job than the foresters, in one sense that the consumption centers and the production centers will be touching each other. The handicrafts and then the industries will go side by side with the production centers. So transportation cost will be reduced, environmental pollution will be reduced, and employment generation will be increased, economical returns will be more, and both will feel happy. The farmer will be happy and then the industry will be happy. And they will join together, they generate wealth for a country, for a state. So in this context, my own small example was my own small foundation. So I personally feel the rest of the people also should think in terms of joining hands with the government. See, all these days we were thinking in terms of a plan for 2020. So I personally feel for forestry we have to plan beyond this. Let us all come together, like-minded people come together, whatever might be our this one strength and resources, we have to think in terms of a plan for 2050. It's only then we will be able to completely prepare ourselves for the new the new war, that the economical freedom, which I feel then only a country will be really free. Till then we are not free, we are only politically free, but we have to work for the economical freedom. Today, let us all come together and then plan for 2050. From all the angles, it should be a comprehensive and a rigid and a disciplined plan, and let all of us come together and see that Karnataka gains its old glory and start exporting and winning the world market of 27% global trade in the world. The one way of uh, enriching the forest is there is natural regeneration is absent in almost 45% of the forest area today. That is because of the biotic interferences, whether it may be grazing, it may be encroachments or fire or any other thing. Biotic interference has come in the way of natural regeneration, and the foresters have to give a top priority for enhancing the natural regeneration in the forest, number one. Number two is now when I was young, we had about 1.5 lakh acres under grassy banks in the Western Ghats. And from 1973, we have succeeded in foresting. I developed a recipe and gave it to the department in 1977, and since then they are doing it. So all these years, probably I feel hardly 40,000 hectares must have been covered by this. Still over a lakh of hectares of forest area is lying under grassy banks. I personally feel they have to take up a leaf from my experience, number one, add a few more seeds to it. For example, now, the seed bombing has become a big hit in the social circles and in the forestry circles. The same thing can be used. For example, borassus is one of the species which comes up very well, and we can think in terms of putting it in the grassy banks. And bulgi comes up well, and then Canarium, Stictum, Veteria indica, and many other species which come up by just germination. So the whole department should involve themselves in covering that area within 3 years. That is number one. Now coming outside the forest area, we have already got a craze among the youngsters, the schools and the colleges, the corporations, and then the private people. Everybody is now in a craze of mind to do seed ball bombing. It is a very good process. We will be able to cover more areas by this method, provided we follow it and review these works. What seeds are used, what places they are selected, whether the seeds are useful for that place, that should be this one. The second thing is whether we are getting the right seeds and whether we have used the right preservatives. How long you can preserve it, then how long, within how many days you will have to sow the seeds. So everybody should join hands, whether it is a private man or a public man or a government servant or a corporation. This seed bombing is one method by which we will be able to cover vast areas, and probably I know a few individuals and companies who are interested in doing it. I can connect the many of you who are interested in this, either under CSR or your personal funds or anything. I can introduce those people to you. You can make use of them, please. Now, why you should give importance for my statements or suggestions, I would love to substantiate. Way back in 1976, when I was a young person in the department, I wrote a book in Kannada, Karnataka Panya Sampattu, wherein I had forecasted that the department will not be in a position to meet the firewood requirements of the state by 2002. It has come true, number one. And I had suggested that at present the 74 taluks are facing scarcity conditions in the state, and I had visualized, said it is going to increase if you don't give importance for forestry. Today it has reached 135 taluks today. So in this background, I personally feel you have to give importance and spend few minutes in hearing my advice, because I am writing a book on the memoirs of a forest officer. But I know that I can't sell it because not many of you will be interested in knowing about forest. So what I planned was, I changed my strategy, and now only the adventurous portion of my life, some incidents where I came face to face with animals, smugglers, fire, rivers, everything. I have written a book called Adventures of a Tropical Forester, in which I want to connect forestry in the last chapter, Future of Forests. I am struggling with that. From the last 1 year, I am not in a position to complete that. What will be the future of forest? It is very difficult for us to, because there are hopes that it will improve, but there is despair that we may be, we may ruin it, we may destroy it. There is a contrast, this thing for me now. I am caught between hopes on one side and despair on the other side. So hopes is that all of you will help yourself for your survival. But the despair is that, in your greed, you may fell, you may mine, you may do everything to see that it becomes a desert. So I personally feel it is my responsibility and duty to advise all of you that if you can't do it voluntarily, you make it compulsory. Every man should have 33% of his land in every survey number, every house, every factory. 33% of that area should be under vegetation, forest trees, and then fruit trees. And then you reduce your lawns. Lawn is going to consume lot of water. So please reduce your lawn size. And then try to learn the habit of harvesting, rainwater. Then recycling your water and conserving your water. So when we do all these things, by nature, Indians are thrifty. It's only now this materialistic thing has come, where when you switch on when you open the shower, for 30 minutes the whole water will be flowing. This is not the original Indian at all. He is an artificial Indian. So I personally appeal to all of you to see that the original Indians' qualities, they should be revived. For example, you take, our celebrations of Sankranti. Sankranti is a universally accepted philosophy. 4 philosophies clubbed into one, and the Indians have communicated these things for thousands and thousands of years. We have done it. I personally feel we should revive it. Every family should celebrate Sankranti on 14th of January every year. Sometimes the days go one day forward or backward. Oh no, forward only. It is either 15th or 14th. So I appeal to all of you to follow the philosophy of Sankranti, and you make it compulsion to plant 33% of the area under vegetation. Fruit plants are forest plants, and then this will help in handicrafts, then industrialization, and then the creation of wealth. Ultimately, every state is interested in creating wealth to its citizens, and this is the ultimate object of everybody. And I personally feel Karnataka can still become a Gandhada Nadu and a Sundara Nadu and a Vannina Nadu. Thank you very much. See, I am to first half of my life, I was considered to be a competent forest officer. Then we were put in all the places where there was heavy responsibilities, whether it was capturing elephants in cat operations or clear felling for big projects like Sharavati or Kali or Varahi or Harangi. So we were always in demand. Of course, initially, we also felt, Nehruji has said that they are all our modern temples, and we felt very happy to go and fell the trees. After first a few years of service, I started realizing, are we doing right? By the time I came to Harangi in 1974 and 75, I myself had started putting questions to myself, are we doing right? The development rate was going so fast. There was the environmental destruction happening in the same speed. Our railway lines, our projects, irrigation, power, roads, bridges, expansions, and then rehabilitation of people who came from other countries. Indians came back from many countries like Ceylon or Burma, and then Tibetans came from Tibet. For everything, the only place available was Karnataka, and the only place available in Karnataka was the forest. So we realized we destroyed to bring light, happiness to those people, we brought happiness, so gloom to the forest. The water spread. Today we have got a lot of electricity, light, AC, everything runs on electricity, industry runs on electricity. There is happiness in this portion, but in the name of this development, we destroyed the forest. So what happened to my forest? They all went under the water. They are submerged. ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಿನೇ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಫಾರ್ ಸಮಾಧಿ, graveyard. We have made entire forest graveyard of these things. So now I feel I should become a saint. I should become a sage. I should tell the rest of the people, don't do what I did. So it is in this context my advice becomes more practical, and we have to club both development with uh, with construction. So that is called sustainable development. That is the mantra all over the globe today, but not many know the correct the structure of this. It's only what we are doing in Hunsur and Periyapatna to the farmers of tobacco farmers. I feel it is, even here also it is not 100% perfect, but more than 60% it is satisfy sustainable development. We have to give importance for all types of renewable energies. So, for example, the corporations and then the municipalities can extend benefit to the people, saying that in all right, we will give you 3 years tax exemption if you put the rainwater harvesting structures or solar energies. So like that, they should give extension to everybody in all renewable resources, whether it is a company or a private man or individual. If the government has to be liberal, and first 3 years you give exemptions, give them tax exemption for everything, give them incentives, give them encouragement. So then everybody will involve themselves in such items. Everybody has got interest. Only thing is they want some connectivity. This incentive is a small amount, but it gives you the connectivity. It gives you inspiration. It makes you to feel that you are a part of that society. So for all those people who have got similar minds, though I know I have without hesitation I would love to say that I can definitely help those people who have got similar ideas in their mind. They can approach us. I will put them directly to the concern, or you can make use of my foundation also. Thank you.